Well, hello, hi there. Thanks for joining our session today. My name is Jamal Khan and I'm a senior tax partner at Churchill Tax. Today I will be talking about alternate dispute resolution, or ADR. ADR, this is a means to reach a settlement with HMRC before the tribunal proceedings commence, or before the hearing date. It's a very useful tool, and I will just share my slides. 1 second. Yeah, so this is a little bit about us in terms of what we do. We mainly focus on tax in terms of tax planning, tax mitigation, and tax investigations, dispute resolution, and serious tax fraud investigations and tax tribunal matters. This is our main focus at Churchill Tax. So first of all, what is ADR? ADR is an attempt to, or alternate dispute resolution. It's an attempt to reach a settlement with HMRC outside of tax tribunal. And there are normally where we have a point of dispute with HMRC, and there are some facts that HMRC may not have considered, or we may not have had the chance to consider, or we haven't been able to provide. And there's HMRC have reached a decision, or there's a breakdown of communication with HMRC. So we can use ADR to present evidence and negotiate a settlement with HMRC, essentially. Who can use ADR? ADR can be used by the taxpayer or their agents, and it can be used for the following kind of taxes: income tax, national insurance, corporation tax, inheritance tax, VAT, stamp duty, customs duty, excise duty. But I've been doing ADR for the past 6 years, 7 years, in fact, and we have mostly been looking at income tax, corporation tax, and VAT matters. We've had some stamp duty matters, but majority cases are income tax, VAT, and corporation tax. Okay. When can you apply for ADR? So you can apply for ADR at any stage during the inquiry the HMRC is conducting, or tribunal proceedings. But you can't apply for ADR unless HMRC have reached or issued their decision. So if in the middle of the investigation and they haven't decided anything, there's no point in applying for ADR because you don't know what you're challenging. So you have to wait for HMRC to issue a decision. And if you're not happy with their decision, for example, HMRC has raised an assessment of £1 million, okay, and you think that shouldn't be £1 million, it should be 100,000 or whatever the amount that you think it should be. In that case, you would raise an apply for ADR, and also you have to make an appeal to the tribunal, and the appeal has to be accepted before you can apply for ADR. So now the process has changed. They would want to see an appeal being made to the tribunal, and that you are actually looking to litigate. And then HMRC will consider that actually, okay, you are serious about this, so we will now allow you for ADR. Essentially, the purpose of ADR is to reach a settlement before tribunal. But if you're not going to tribunal, then there is no point in reaching a settlement. So essentially, that's why. So it's a process to get registered for ADR, but once it's done, then it's fairly smooth sailing from that point onwards. How to apply for ADR? You can apply for ADR using an online form on HMRC's website. You will need details about the dispute and why you believe ADR will be helpful. So they will want to see, if you're just going to have a chat, then there's no point. If there is a point of dispute, or if there is some evidence that HMRC have not considered during the assessment process or during the inquiry process, or the inspectors have not given particular attention to a particular point, and you feel that yes, this is a very important point, or it wasn't brought up, or they didn't ask this question, but if they had asked this question, it would have changed their kind of view. Then in that case, you need to raise this at ADR, and this will be asked. You will be asked when you're completing the online form in terms of why you feel this would be helpful. Okay. What happens at the ADR meeting? So there's a couple of things that then to consider. The ADR is facilitated by, or essentially there's a facilitator in the ADR. He's a mediator. So there's the HMRC officers that come to the meeting. There's the agent, the tax advisors who are representing the taxpayer, and the taxpayer. It's usually very important that the taxpayer is there. These days, just so you're aware, most of the ADR meetings are held online. In the past, we used to hold them in person, in physical meetings, but most of the meetings are now held through Teams, and the ADR facilitator would be in control of the Teams meetings. There would be a meeting for the main, there would be a Teams meeting room for the main event or the meeting where all the facilitator, the HMRC inspectors, and the taxpayers are present. There'd be private meeting rooms. One would be for private meeting chat with HMRC and private meeting chat with the taxpayers, and or breakaway rooms essentially. So it's all managed online. It's a very good system. Once the ADR meeting starts, you would be you're starting off with an opening statement, which you would be required to produce before the day of the ADR. So it's an opening statement just to highlight any issues that you would be discussing at the ADR meeting. So you start with the opening statement. Obviously, there are introductions and processes discussed, procedures discussed, but opening statement is the kickoff of the ADR meeting. And you essentially discuss facts and present evidence, and just go through points of dispute with HMRC, and then hopefully negotiate a settlement. The role of the ADR facilitator he's not a judge. He's just giving people an opportunity to present their evidence and present their case. So he doesn't decide, or he or she doesn't decide. The decision maker is the HMRC officers, or the main officer and their manager, usually, that come to the ADR meeting. So usually there'll be two officers from HMRC, or two, maybe three, or maybe four. One, and there'll be a manager, and then the decision makers, the caseworkers. So the facilitator is not a decision maker. He cannot influence the decision. He's just allowing people to speak, or trying to mediate. So once you've gone through the process, gone through the facts, negotiated what would be the best kind of amount of tax to pay, negotiated the settlement, then you reach when you've reached the settlement point, then you look at preparing a document called record of outcome, or it used to be called exit agreement at one stage. And in that, we just record what agreement we've reached, what settlement we've reached, if there's any further evidence to be provided, and if any further work to be done. But the intention should be to get this completed, or reached a settlement to be reached before the end of the day. If you haven't, maybe there might be some more information. But it does happen on several occasions that you might reach a partial settlement, and the rest would be based on the evidence that is to be provided subsequently. But my experience has been that the people we've done ADR with, we've had about 90 to 95% success rate. I would say not 100%, but above 90% success rate on ADRs. And we've the HMRC inspectors that we've worked with have been very, very helpful, and they're very considerate in terms of reaching a settlement. And everybody comes to the ADR with a view to settle, and with a view to resolve matters, and which is a very good thing. I mean, you could end up in tribunal for and spend a lot of time and money, whereas ADR is a lot simpler process. In summary, on the day of ADR, you should be expecting to spend at least 6 to 8 hours in meeting and discussions. It's not a 30-minute call. It takes the whole day, and sometimes ADR can go over 2 days. It can be very, very tiring sometimes, but we should allow at least a day for the ADR. And sometimes you might want to make sure that you don't have any commitments after, say, 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, because you might not be finished by then. Excellent. Okay, so if there's any questions, do get in touch. And as I said, our success rate has been over 90%. So it's a pretty good opportunity to resolve matters before you go to tribunal. Okay, that's me. These are my contact details, my telephone number, and my email address. And that's a much younger version of me, by the way. If you have any questions, do get in touch. Thank you very much.